Hello, everyone. Welcome back to DJ and the Zooms. I am Jay. And what is going on? Okay, so this week I had the nice surprise of hearing that my boss would be on holiday and that I could just take off and go to my parents. So obviously that's what I did. And I'm not home to record an episode. So today is Thursday, the 8th of April, and I'm recording in advance so that you still have a little bit of me to keep you through 1 week. And it so happens that today we also learned that a certain GP Lambiase is moving to McLaren. So let's talk about that. Just so you know, I am also recording on my laptop, perched on a series of books and cardboard boxes. So if you see me shaking a little bit, that's because it's not very stable. This isn't going to be a very long episode because, as I've just said, it's Thursday night. I'm leaving on Saturday morning pretty early, and I want to have everything done before I go. So if I want to have time to edit and make the visuals for this week's episode, I can't make it very long. In any case, I think that's pretty nice because it gives us the opportunity to talk a little bit about what it means to be chief racing officer in an F1 team and what I think, because I was going to say what we think, but you're not here, unfortunately, to discuss it with me. But if you have anything to say about this, please mention it in the comments, either on YouTube, Instagram, or Spotify. You could also like, subscribe, share, and do all the things that we do when we like a podcast. I'm saying it for the first time at the beginning of the episode, hoping against hope that it might have an effect, because usually I say it at the end, but I'm not sure anyone stays that long. Anyway, so Gianpiero Lambiase, who has been Max Verstappen's engineer ever since he joined Red Bull in 2016, he was also, well, he is right now, head of racing at Red Bull, and he will join McLaren apparently in 2028 as chief racing officer. So what does that all mean? First of all, let's start with the gossip, shall we? Max and GP have been like this for years. Obviously, like it's been 10 years at this point. And we all know that drivers and their race engineers have a very special sort of bond because they are meant to be able to understand each other on a level that is deep, obviously, instantaneous, and because there are also matters of trying to communicate without saying too much so that other teams don't catch on to anything that might be happening behind the scenes, there must be also an element of communication without words. So they need to be really closely bonded so that they can really understand each other. You may have heard, for example, Lando mentioning the fact that his race engineer, Will, has this sort of nervous cough. And so when Lando hears Will cough through the radio, he knows that it's time to sort of try and calm things down, or he knows that at that point there's something going on that isn't what Will would want it to be, and by extension what the team would want it to be. I am absolutely sure that in most driver engineer pairings, there is this kind of, well, not most, but most of those that have lasted for several years, because obviously when you've just met a person, this sort of communication and bond doesn't just create itself overnight. But for people who've been together for as long as Max has been with GP, 10 years, that's not nothing. There's obviously a different level of relationship that exists. That's just human, and also it has to do with what they need for their job. And they're doing their job at a level that is beyond what you and I can imagine. Back in 2021, Max commented at one point that if GP leaves the team or the sport, Max will leave as well. He doesn't see him, or at least in 2021, he didn't imagine himself continuing in the sport without GP, which I think is perfectly understandable on a human level. Lately, well, it's been a while. I love Max, but he's a complainer. He likes to complain. He always has something to say about the car, the regulations, whatever, the F1, the FIA. That's definitely one of the things that make him such a great champion, because he's never satisfied. So he has to push and push and push and push always further to try and get better and better and better. So he complains a lot. So he's been saying and hinting for quite a while that he might not stay in the sport for very long. Plus, the new regulations are really not making him happy. They're not making anyone happy. No one's enjoying this new phase. Although I think there's learning to be done on both sides. So teams and drivers on one side have to sort of get used to what they have to do in this new era. And F1 and the FIA have to sort of realize what is and isn't possible at this stage and what is and isn't safe. But that is a subject for another day. I've hinted, not last week, but the week before, I've said that I was going to come back on the matter of clipping, super clipping, and the battery issues and the power unit discussions that are going on. I will do that probably during this very long break that we're having, but not today, not this week. And probably not next week either. But at some point it'll happen. But still, for the purpose of today, it's obvious that no one is liking or loving the situation at the moment in the sport, and especially not Max. And he's a dad now. And I think, listen, as much as we want to see him as sort of an unfeeling machine of winning races, I still firmly believe that this has rocked his world to the fullest extent. It has to. Having your own baby is going to change your life unless you're a huge piece of whatever. And I don't think that's the case with Max. I don't think he's a huge piece of, he's been saying more than once that he is considering the appeal of spending more time with his family, and he's bound to take that into consideration when he makes his decisions. Today, he's won 4 world championships. He's seeing the way the sport is going, the way the team is going. He's seeing now GP leaving the team. I think you've put 2 and 2 together. I'm thinking Max isn't going to stay very long. Although I've been saying for a while now that Max isn't going to stay very long. So what do I know? As for GP, we know that some not very fun stuff have been happening in his personal life. It's understandable that he would take that into account in the decisions that he makes on a professional level. So the first thing that I tried to look up so I thought, to be transparent with you, initially, I thought when we heard that he would be leaving Red Bull for McLaren. So when I say initially, I mean, what time is it? 6 p.m., maybe 5 hours ago. I thought he would be taking a role that would keep him at home. But that is not what the chief racing officer is. So let's have a little look at what he was doing and what he's going to be doing now. Well, what he's going to be doing in a year and a half. At Red Bull, he obviously was Max's race engineer, but he was also head of racing for the team. So the head of racing is a very operational job, as in he's involved, he or she, but in this case, it's GP, so it's a he, is involved in defining and implementing the strategies, overseeing, so the strategies, the pit stops, the performance of the car. It's a position in which you're directly involved in all of this, and you report to usually the team principal. So in his case, he would report to Laurent Mekies at Red Bull. Whereas the CRO, so the chief racing officer, is more of a management position, as in, so they're both management positions, really. But from what I understand, the chief racing officer has more of an interpersonal role and is sort of a link between the teams and the team members themselves within the teams, and also between the teams and upper management, as in this case, Andrea Stella, team principal, and very probably because Zach Brown is very involved, also Zach. It's more of being the link between everyone and making sure that things go smoothly and that communication flows, that everyone understands everyone, so that everything can then be done properly. Whereas before, the role of head of racing was making sure that everything was done correctly. On the level of the hierarchy, I think they're sort of at the same level, from what I understand, but the missions are different. I just realized that I'm wearing my Lando t-shirt. I was working from home. I just wanted to be comfortable. But the positions are different in that one is very operational and the other is more of a people management position. I don't know. I was trying to sort of imagine which one would be more stressful. And I think there's no possible comparison between the two. And in any case, it's going to be different depending on the person. You have to be, I think, in a chief racing officer position, you have to be very good at working with other people. Whereas in head of racing position, you, from what I understand, the information could be more vertical, coming down from you. Whereas when in a chief racing officer position, you have to be sort of on the same plane as everyone. I might be completely off, but this is what I've understood from the little research I was able to do this evening after work and before recording this episode. Personally, I like GP. I think he's brilliant. I think he is a saint for being so patient and understanding with Max. So I'm very happy to see him come to McLaren, and I can't wait to see what he's gonna be able to make of it. Thank you for listening until the end. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and do all the things that we do when we love a podcast. And I will see you next week. I love you. Bye.